Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
We're doing well. Bears against the Washington Commanders coming up this Sunday. Want to get your thoughts about the Commanders as of late. Coming in, Albert, you think it's Dan Quinn. This defense is going to be strong. That has not been the story. The story has been Jayden Daniels in the offense. What do you think of the Commanders so far this season?
Well, I mean, I think you have to give obviously Jayden credit, but also Cliff. Like they held up in a very real way without Jayden in there, with Mariota in there, and for a coordinator that a lot of people sort of, I think, stereotyped as a college guy, he's shown an ability to keep adjusting, keep evolving his offense, and I think the ability to do it with Mariota in there showed like that there is something sustainable here, and they still have major holes. I mean, we'll see if Brandon Coleman is the long-term left tackle, but tackle is still a big question with that team. I don't know, how many receivers can you guys name outside of Terry McLaurin? I can name a few, but that's what I do for a living.
Yeah. Ertz the tight end.
And
you got Noah Brown.
Yeah, and Brian Robinson's the lead back there. It's not a star-studded group yet. They keep producing, and I think that's what's so impressive. And like, one of the things I'd feel best about if I were a Commanders fan right now is you're doing this before you've gotten a lot of the things that you need to taken care of, right? So coming into the year, one of the biggest problems they had is like their big issues were at premium positions. It was receiver outside of Terry. It was a tackle. It was an edge rusher. It was a corner. And, like they have found a way to make it work, even though those positions have gotten better, but they haven't been truly addressed for the long term. So, it sort of feels like it's really good now. And once they get that stuff taken care of, look out.
Yeah, you wrote about Mariota being a perfect example of what the difference that Dan Quinn is making. What would the Bears be up against if they have to face him, and how difficult will it be to kind of prepare for both quarterbacks at this point?
Yeah, Dionne, I think one of the cool things about it is that like Mariota was just a logical signing for them, and a signing that you could explain to an 8-year-old. He has some similarities in the way he plays the position to the way Jayden Daniels plays the position, and if your starter gets hurt, if you're doing the right thing for the other 10 guys in the huddle, you're going to have a setup that is going to allow for you not to have to change everything. And what do we see now? Well, I think we see a team that is set up to keep playing the same way, even though Jayden Daniels is a unique player and Marcus Mariota isn't Jayden Daniels. There's enough similarities there where you don't have to change everything that you're doing because you had an injury. So yeah, I mean, again, like I think it's another well-conceived move by a team that's done a lot of those sorts of things. And so if you're the Bears, you're going up against a similar challenge, and that may help you too. You know what I mean? Like that you don't have to sort of prepare for two different versions of the offense. But clearly it didn't help the Panthers much on Sunday. That they weren't having to deal with that much change with Mariota. They were still able, the Commanders were, to create headaches for Carolina. So not an easy offense to prepare for because it's very different than a lot of other offenses. And having Mariota in there isn't ideal, but it doesn't change a ton for them.
Boy, the game of the week for me was watching the Lions and Vikings. Albert, that was just you just knew on paper that was going to be great, and it was. It gave us a fantastic finish. So I want to know, where the Bears fit into that hierarchy in a very tough NFC North. We see the Lions and Vikings, and also a tough win for the Packers against the Texans. How do the Bears fit into that mix in this difficult division?
Yeah, best division in football, in my opinion, and it should be entertaining from here on out. I was so impressed with the way the Packers hung in there, the way they played defense on Jordan Love in that offense, or the way they played, defense on C.J. Stroud in that offense. I'm mixing names here, and the way that they were able to win the game in the end. It wasn't Jordan Love's best day, but he was able to pull it out in the end. And then, you go to the Minnesota-Detroit game, and, just Detroit's ability to sort of roll with the punches and fall behind 10-0 and put themselves in a position where they had the fake punt that didn't work. They had the big run they allowed to Aaron Jones. It probably felt like the roof was collapsing on them. It was so loud in there, and their ability to put their foot in the ground and turn that thing around the way they did was really, really impressive. I'll call it like I see it right now, Huddy. This looks like four really well-run teams, I think all four of them have a chance to be standing there at the end when we're figuring out who's making the playoffs.
For the Bears, what have you seen through these first 6 games that gives you, I guess, a good feeling about the direction that they're going, even outside of just the progress we've seen from Caleb Williams?
Yeah, I would say it's Dionne. I would say it's the ability to win different ways. Mm-hmm. The ability to roll with whatever type of game it is and pull it out. I think it was obvious early in the season when, they beat a bad Titans team, but they beat the Titans without Caleb doing much. And, with a blocked punt return for a touchdown with a pick six. And I just think with the way that they play defense, the way they run the ball, what they've got around Caleb in the passing game, I think it's a team that can win a lot of different types of games. And, it's interesting because I sort of feel like that way about the Packers too. And, the Lions have been able to win that way, and the Vikings have won with multiple quarterbacks. So, I think every team in the NFC North has this ability to some degree, and having it is really, really important, and it's going to be it's going to only get more important as the weather turns. So, I think with the way Caleb has played, that was sort of the last piece, and for a team that does seem to have a lot of different levers it can pull on the way to victory.
I know that we were all watching the Monday night game, and it was just one. Mm. The second one was on ESPN Plus. I understand what ESPN is doing by putting it on Plus, but that first one, that was just so physical, and with the Ravens and the Tampa Bay Bucks. I just want to get your thoughts about a question we had about Lamar Jackson. Charlie, you asked the question about Lamar Jackson. Don't be surprised if. Give us that question again regarding Lamar.
Don't be surprised if Lamar Jackson wins another MVP.
Yeah, he looks great. And I think one of the things that is important to note here is all the moving pieces they have on offense and then the team in general. And I think it's a really great tribute to the strength of that program in that they're able to turn over 60% of their offensive line. Most teams do that, and you'd be like talking about like a really rough, maybe like half season if you're lucky, right? I mean, the Ravens took care of that in like 3 weeks, like letting go of Morgan Moses and John Simpson and Kevin Zeitler, 3 guys who are really experienced, and basically handing those spots over to younger players, letting Patrick Queen go, and going with a younger player and Trenton Simpson there. Watching Mike McDonald get the job in Seattle as DC and turning it over to a 32-year-old in Zach Orr. I think it's that the coolest thing about it is they really trusted in their own system, their own ability to develop not just players but people and have them ready to go. And they didn't panic in September when it didn't look right. They lose to the Chiefs. They had a bad loss to the Raiders in week 2, and there were a lot of people who were looking at it and saying, "Man, like, is this still the Ravens?" And instead of doing anything panicky, like what the Jets have looked like the last couple of weeks, they just sort of stayed the course and trusted in what they were doing and trusted in their ability to develop people. And now they look like the best team in the league. And Lamar's a huge part of that too, because when you've got 3 new starting offensive linemen, the quarterback is going to be involved in that, in helping you ride that out. And I think it's sort of part of the reality of having your quarterback on a big second contract is that he's going to have to make up for some things as you go along. And there's no question that Lamar's shown a real ability to be that guy this year, maybe more so than ever before in his career. So I wouldn't be surprised if Lamar's right back there in the MVP hunt again when we get to December or January.
Lastly, Albert, what is in your phone? Something you haven't told anyone else before. Give us a nugget.
Yeah. I've got a lot of places I'm putting all that stuff now. So
Come on.
Yeah.
Ryan Day to the Giants. Give me that. Give me a little something.
What were you saying?
Ryan Day to the Giants.
No.
Yeah.
Give us something.
Yeah, I have a feeling if I say that on your air, it'll get aggregated pretty quick. No, I would say, I think one thing that I think is interesting heading into the trade deadline, which coincidentally is on election night. That'll be a very normal 24 hours.
Sure.
So I think the one thing that's sort of interesting about the trade deadline coming up is a lot of people are focusing on receivers, and there could be some movement there. The Chiefs are still considering some things. The Titans have DeAndre Hopkins and Treylon Burks as a potential reclamation project. The Panthers have Adam Thielen and Deontay Johnson. The Patriots could trade Kendrick Bourne. So there's some names out there at receiver. I actually think that the edge rusher market is just as interesting. And, Hassan Reddick kind of came off the table. But I think that there's going to be some teams that really need help in that area. And I'm not saying a big, you're going to see some sort of big splash move from somebody. But I could see the Zadarius Smiths of the world getting moved. And then, on top of that, I think you'll hear people making calls on guys like Myles Garrett. Again, I don't think that you'll see one of those guys get moved. But, we know how aggressive general managers are now. And I don't think that those things will necessarily happen, but I certainly think those phone calls will be made.
I like it, Albert. Always giving the breadcrumbs.
Myles Garrett. And if I see anybody aggregate that I said Myles Garrett is getting traded, I'm going to throw my computer through.
I'll be the watchdog on that to make sure that doesn't happen.
Oh my God.
I got your back, man.
Yeah.
Albert, as always, we appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
All right.